Lastly, but most importantly, the drum bus. Once we finish the processing on the drum bus, it's just night and day what that can do to a mix. There's so much more punch and character and liveliness. And once you turn it off, you're like, damn, that's what my mix sounded like before. Like it's crazy what it can do. There's a lot of things you can do with it. I'm going to keep it super simple. I'm going to add some saturation just to bring some character in. I'm going to do a very simple smiley face EQ just to kind of bring up some low end as well as some brightness, and then some glue with the compressor to tighten things up. And that's basically it. Saturation, EQ, compression, that's all you need. So let's start off with saturation to just add a little bit of character. We're gonna go over to our drum bus here on the very end, add a plugin, scroll all the way down to multi-effects, fat effects. Let's get our saturation in. Turn this off, 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 off. Output full, limiting off for right now. And then turn all these knobs down, just have our saturation knob on. And now let's take a listen to the overall mix and add a little bit of saturation in there. Obviously that's way too much. Dial it back. You want to push it with this knob and then really dial it in with the mix knob. So around 20 seems to be good. Now let's blend it in with the mix knob. Just ever so slightly. I'm going to keep it like that, around 13%, just adding just a little bit of extra sauce. Nothing too crazy. Next thing I'm going to add here is an EQ. I'm going to keep this super, super simple. I'm just going to add a little bit of a low shelf and a high shelf. Maybe not even a high shelf. I'm going to see what the low shelf does first. So let's take a listen. Let's grab our low shelf, which is this one here. Just adding the littlest bit of beef. So over here, I'm adding 1.5 dBs, nothing crazy, around 100 Hertz, just to get overall thump and boominess up a little bit. Let's try the high end, see if we need any. I think we're pretty good for the high shelf. I don't want to add too much brightness because then we start thinning things out and it gets a little bit too harsh, and that's the last thing I want. There's a lot of amateur mixes that are very, very harsh because you just think, you know, brightness, louder, better. That's not always the case, so I'm going to leave it like this. All right, so after the saturation and the EQ, next thing we're going to add is a compressor. We're going to go over here to the recents, find our compressors, hit stereo. I like the classic VCA. This is great. This one here on Logic mimics a bus compressor, which is very good for adding just a little bit of glue to your drum bus. So we're going to turn it on. I haven't done anything. I'm just going to turn off auto gain, see what it sounds like. My goal with this is very minimal, like 3 dB at max, maybe even 2. Ratio down super, super low, maybe even 1.5. Playing around with the output gain just to match things a little better. See how much more glued things sound? When it's off, things are a little bit poking out here and there. Sounds a little bit more loose, but then when I turn it on, everything sounds a lot more tighter and everything sounds very tight and glued together. So off. Sounds great. I like the way that sounds. Things sound super tight, super glued together. That's all that compressor's doing. It's very simple. It's not doing anything too crazy. Again, I think it's maybe minus 4 dB at max. 3 or 4. It's not doing anything too crazy, just keeping things glued, keeping things tight, getting things to sound fucking good. That's what we want. So a little before and after, just quickly with the plugins on and off. So off. On. Sounding great. Things are sounding super tight. I might even dial back the compressor just a little bit. There we go. Letting the snare kind of come through a little bit more. That's basically it, man. The last thing we're going to add on our drum bus, just to get a little bit more volume in, is a limiter. That way we can push the volume up a bit while also kind of clamping down on some things like the snare hits and maybe some kicks that might be peeking through. Let's add a limiter. Again, click our plugins. We're going to go to Dynamics, Limiter, Stereo. What I like to do, turn this to legacy mode. We're going to go over to the output level. Just take it back to about negative 0.1 dB, maybe 0.2 dB, just so things aren't going to obviously clip. And then we're going to boost the gain a little bit to where we're kind of just clamping down on the snare hits. So let's take a listen. See how the snares are just kind of touching? We're going to boost it a little bit. Maybe around there. I think 0.8 is good. Just enough to where, again, the drums are coming up and hitting the limiter just enough, especially that snare. But also, you don't want to be smashing it to where things are distorting or adding any wonky tones or anything like that. So I keep this very, very simple. Just, again, taking the output down a bit so things aren't clipping, boosting it ever so slightly just to clamp down on a little bit of snare. And that's basically it, man. I got saturation, EQ, compressor, limiter. Sounds good. I'm liking the way that sounds. That's it for the drum bus. Nothing too crazy. Things are polished. Let's do a little bit of accessory work now and fine tune some things and then complete the mix.